everyone, and welcome to Redefine Family, a Spark Transformation podcast. I'm your host, Simona Spark, and our mission is to build a future where no one needs to come out anymore. Together, we can create a world where everyone has the right to love, to succeed, to have a family, and to live a full, happy life. Welcome back, everyone. Today, I am also saying welcome back to my guest. Welcome back, Amber.
Thank you. I'm glad to be back.
Thank you so much for accepting my invitation and talk more about your experience. And in this conversation, we want to be focusing on how is it to be a transgender woman performer?
I think that's a really good question and a very good topic to cover because there's a lot of trans people who are actual, what you might call drag performers or female impersonators. Mm-hmm. There are also, of course, female to males that do the same thing, impersonating males as drag kings. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of controversy in the drag scene about whether or not it is fair. A lot of people feel that it is unfair and that someone, for instance, myself, a trans woman, has too much of an advantage over other drag performers who are not trans. Mm-hmm. And they feel that it's almost like comparative to a Olympian taking steroids. I have an advantage because I've been medically, given the extra gumption to be a woman. But in truth, I pretty much look the same beforehand. Hormones have not really changed me that much. I mean, they've softened my skin to an extent, et cetera, but it still takes all of the tricks of the trade to make me look like this. I definitely do not, per se, roll out of bed looking like this every day.
Okay. I really appreciate you talk about this because we want to bring some light and clarification, giving all the gender possibilities and all the labels out there. Imagine a teenager boy sitting there trying to find the answer to the question, to the idea of wearing a dress. Am I gay? Am I drag queen? Am I transgender woman? What's going on?
And these are all very pertinent questions.
Yes. Do you mind speaking to that for a little bit?
Okay, so the difference technically would be that obviously a drag queen who is biologically born male and is impersonating a female who has no want or need to live as a woman, but simply enjoys portraying a character in a show. This is the larger spectrum would be people that fall into this category. Mm-hmm. There are also people such as myself who are identifying as female and very much want to be female who are still performing in the drag scene. And in truth, years back in history, this is the way it actually used to be. It used to be once upon a time that most well-known female impersonators actually were transgender. Yeah. A lot of them in the past days, the well-known entertainers have almost all of them have dabbled in gender experimentation. And maybe they decided that through drag, that's how they found out that they wanted to transition. Mm. Or maybe that's how they found out that they did not want to transition, but that they were just happy playing that character in a show. So it's still very back and forth with, I have other friends who are trans who work in the drag community as well. And we do get a little bit of flack sometimes just because, again, some of the other performers don't feel that it's fair. Mm-hmm. So that would be the controversy there. And the distinction again would be that the drag queen who is not transgender is just, like you say, a gay male dressing up as a female and living out a certain portion of their personality through drag. Right. Where someone like me, I might do drag and pretend to be Madonna one night, and then the next night I might pretend to be Barbra Streisand, and so on and so forth. But when it comes down to the end of the day, when it's all said and done, I am Amber. Mm-hmm.
Woman. Right. But thank you so much for explaining this to us. Sometimes it's confusing, right?
Yes, it is.
And I hear you talking about being or not being fair, and I wonder what's going on in the performance world of LGBTQ community that we are not aware of.
I think that what's most important for the people in the community to remember is that RuPaul's famous for saying that we're all born naked and that the rest is just drag. And in truth, this is a very, very smart thing to say, because in truth, we communicate who we are on the inside quite obviously outwardly through our appearance and our clothing and our hairstyles and the bumper stickers that we put on our cars. And if some of us do jobs where we communicate our status in that job through our uniform, like policemen and firemen and things like that. Now, some people could say or call that drag. You're in fireman drag because you're a fireman, and you want everyone to tell by seeing you from the outside that you are indeed a fireman. So I think that this is a very smart thing to say, because I think that all of us at one point or another are putting on some kind of drag. It doesn't have to be generally attached to our gender per se, but attached to the character or person that we want the world to see us as.
Thank you so much for saying that. The drag is not attached to the gender, and the drag is not attached to your sexual orientation. Drag is what you choose to do.
Yes, an outward expression of who you are inside.
I love it. Yeah. I like the idea of all of us doing drag every day. I could appear as a different person in the days that I'm not wearing the makeup compared with the days that I'm wearing the makeup. And it might be a silly example, but from there, one could take it to a high level of performance.
Yes, yes. And I believe that as time goes on in a person's life, you might experience several different levels of drag as several different characters. I mean, I myself used to be very involved in the leather community. Before I transitioned and I was male, I was very involved in the leather community and wearing the garments that portrayed my orientation to the world by what I was wearing. You know, I'm wearing leather chaps and a harness and a vest and a hat, and this is telling people something about me.
Now, I want to ask you something that ties into our previous conversation when we have you here. You said something that stuck with me. You said that when you realize that you are meant to be a woman, you start experiencing being a woman the very next day. So my question is, what would you recommend to someone that is not sure if he was meant to be a woman or he might just want to do drag?
I would say that, first of all, experimentation through drag is one of the best ways to try on a new persona for anybody. I mean, if you happen to be a person that's given the opportunity to sign up for a drag show and do it and pretend to be somebody else, then that is a really good chance for you to, in a sense, walk in somebody else's shoes, you know, see what does it, just only a slight taste or a little example of what it's like to actually be a woman. Because, of course, there's so much more to being a woman than just dressing like a woman. Right. So just because you're successful as a drag queen at convincing your audience that you're female for 10 minutes while lip syncing to a song, now that's just one thing. But to enter the world and speak as a woman, behave as a woman, and convince the world indeed that you are female, and to what I like to call, I don't like to use the word pass, I like to say blend. So in order to blend, right, one drag show is not going to prepare a person to blend as the opposite sex. Right. Obviously not. Because drag is very much an exaggeration of an image of the opposite sex for most drag queens. For me, it's not. I look at being a drag queen as being very real and doing my best representation or impersonation of a biological female. I don't look cartoony, and I don't wear like punky colored hair and 100-mile eyelashes, you know.
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. What's wrong with 100 miles eyelashes?
There's nothing wrong with them at all, but it is not a requirement in my book. Yes. So I think that is definitely a distinction. And if you are one who is experimenting in this way, drag is more than anything just a chance for somebody to get out there and open their minds and get used to being in front of people, for goodness sake. I mean, you are taking a stage and you are performing in front of a bunch of strangers. So it's definitely a confidence builder, that alone. And if you are a person like myself who has questions about your gender, it is a great place to start.
Yes. Thank you, Amber. I really appreciate. I hope this is helpful for those that are in similar circumstances that we described. So I'm working with a young man, and I was inviting him to put a cute dress on and go out. So the plan is to go out and have a experience as her. And also, of course, learning about potential triggers that might be there when exposed in public. So he's not ready to have this experience yet, and I'm absolutely honoring the time and the speed that we need to move forward. And I have no idea how terrifying that might feel.
Oh, quite terrifying, quite terrifying.
Would you share with us how that was for you?
A lot of people who know me and have followed my transition, a lot of them like to say, "Oh gosh, you make it look so easy. You make me want to go out there and just do it," And I have to say that it was quite terrifying. It really was. I mean, the first day that I went to work as a woman, I mean, it all started with even just leaving my house, walking through the carport in my building, getting into my car, going to Starbucks to get my coffee, and being an obvious transgender in line. At that time, I was not blending, so it was quite obvious that the person that used to drive that car and park here used to be male, and now they're female or something.
Yeah.
So you definitely need to be brave before you're going to attempt something like that. And confidence is a number one inhibitor towards passing. The more confident that you are, the more apt you are to just blend right in.
Mm-hmm.
I have seen transgender people in my life who physically do not necessarily have the characteristics of the opposite sex, but they're going up and through acting as if it doesn't matter at all. And people don't really have time to discriminate when you are that forward.
Yeah.
So again, that would be another thing to consider, is to just don't be afraid. Be safe, but don't be afraid.
Yes, and that's what the work is, to go through this uncomfortable experiences in order to build up that confidence.
Yes. And you have to open yourself to that. I mean, you have to, I'm saying, if you want to be it, you have to believe it, no matter what it is. A lot of times other performers will say to me, "Oh my gosh, when you did Madonna this day, you came and you took the stage, and I swear I felt like I was watching Madonna."
Yes.
And how is it that you had? And this is what I say because I believe it. Before I hit that stage, I tell myself I'm Madonna, and nobody can tell me that I'm not. And I believe it. So then if I believe it and I go out here, my audience is apt to believe it well.
Yeah.
Because just like in every day I go out of my house and I believe that I'm a woman, and everybody who comes across me has to believe it too.
Yes, because you show up with that energy, so then you own it, and that's powerful. And people are drawn to that energy of a powerful, unapologetic, authentic energy.
It's hard to argue with when someone presents that way. It's very hard to argue with that. I like to use Caitlyn Jenner as an example a lot when I talk about this, is because Caitlyn Jenner was very, very well known for being a man, and not only being a man, but not just an ordinary man, an extraordinary man, an Olympian, an athlete, and an extreme male persona. But then when she transitioned and she came out, everyone says, "Oh my goodness, what are you thinking?" But she did it with such confidence and such almost indignance in the sense that this is it, this is what I'm doing, and that's that, whether you guys like it or not. And that made a big difference for me, because this was before I transitioned. And seeing that he was able to become a she like that, blatantly in the face of America, I said, then so can I. So I think that makes a difference too.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. So inspiring. I was talking with a couple the other night. Their daughter told them that she want to be a boy. And in this session, we were talking about what is the work that we need to do around mindset and own beliefs, so they could be the parents that their daughter need them to be. When they are so clear in their mind about our daughter now, it's our son, that they actually show up like that. Exactly how the 5 years old show up, very convinced and clear and knowing that I am a boy. It's honest, it's raw, there is no filter, no preconceptions, there is pure truth. We want the same thing for the parents, when they could show up clear and convinced and believing this is our son, period. No explanation needed, no justifications needed.
You can't argue with it. And parents, gosh, nowadays, parents who have transgender children, to me, this is amazing, very amazing. I wish I was given that kind of opportunity as a young person. I mean, children, like you said, come from a place of innocence where, like you said, no filters and no preconceived notions about the world, and no one's trained them what to say. So a lot of times things that come from children are very raw and very honest. And how can you argue with that? I don't think that you can. And a child at that age who is able to notice the difference between the two genders, it usually, again, has nothing to do with their genitalia, but more so that they find themselves, I'm living the role of the opposite sex. And I don't want to be a dad. I don't want to be a man. I want to be a woman. I want to do what girls do, you know? And when you're a child and you honestly feel this way and you don't know why, and nobody's planted that seed, there is no arguing with that. So the parents that are supporting their children in these changes need the support of their communities, very much so. And I'm so happy that there are people like you and that the world is changing right now so that parents who find themselves being open-minded enough to listen to their kids and say, okay, these parents need support.
That's right. That's right. Most of them, myself included, we did not grow up with a open communication about sex and gender. We were not educated. We did not have that type of relationship with our parents when we get to have all the questions and get all the answers. And there are a lot of parents feeling uncomfortable talking about these topics. But I want to believe that they all want to be the best parents they could be for their children. So I have a lot of respect for those that are asking for help and are willing to educate themselves so they can be the parents that their children need them to be.
Because it was never a question before. It was not up for debate before. Now it's up for debate. And this is a recent occurrence that it's become a mainstream topic of discussion about transgenders. More and more people are saying, oh, there's a transgender in my workplace, or there's a transgender at my doctor's office, or I met a transgender today at Starbucks, you know, and that's because visibility is becoming a big thing. And that's because a lot of transgenders don't blend. And when you don't blend, you become visible. And when you become visible, you become a poster child for that particular thing. So what you have to do when you're in that spot is just embrace it and say, okay, I'm a visible trans person in the world right now. What is my responsibility? What should I be trying to communicate to people? And what should I be trying to learn?
Yes, yes. I have a lot of admiration and respect for transgender community. As we are here on a mission to create a future when no one needs to come out anymore, I really don't know how that applies to transgender. I mean, you could be gay and nobody knows until you come out. But if I knew you as a man and I didn't see you in 2-3 years and then you knock on my door as a woman, we will have a conversation about it. So it looks like there is no privacy. It must feel very exposed, like the whole privacy is out the window.
Out the window, 100%. You are now the most popular person in your area. I mean, like I said, I transitioned in a medical building where I had previously worked for about 15 years or so as a male with over 200 employees that I saw on a regular basis who all had to, at the same time, deal with what was going on with me, which, like you just said, it is not private. The discussions and the feelings that I had prior to coming with it, that was private. But once I decided that I was going to go forward with it, I literally had to make it public. I had to send emails. I had to send announcements to the entire building that if anybody called asking for my previous name, that they were to state, he doesn't work here anymore. Because he doesn't. I work here now. And even though I am that same person, I could not have the general public making that distinction. Right. You see? Sure, my coworkers could know that, okay, well, if they're asking for Rodney, which was my male name, but he does still work here, they say. He's downstairs in the basement, but you can't say that because you're outing me to the world when you do that. So it was a big hassle, a humongous hassle to train every single person that I knew to stop doing that. So that was very, very hard. So yeah.
I can't even imagine. And that is the conversation with the parents of transgender child. How do you announce your extended family, the school, friends, and so on, and respect the privacy of your child?
Yes, and you have to do it with every new person that you meet. You go to the doctor, sure you have to do it. I have to do it at the bank, on the telephone, with different agencies, when I'm making my car payments, different places where I go, where even though I put a preferred name on the book, like I work in a medical clinic. I have already had it all entered in there that I'm transgender. Please use preferred names. There's pop-ups and alerts that pop up all over the place. And even still, I will go to the doctor as a patient, sit in the lobby, and they will call my male name in the lobby. I bring my husband with me because I know it's going to happen. And when they call the male name, I make him stand up until we get over there. And then I say, what's wrong with you? It says right here, but you're not paying attention. See, I mean, everything's happening so fast that the general public, people in customer service positions, and they have to learn to be on top of this just as much. Because now it is actually a crime to discriminate and to not use those correct pronouns and use your preferred name in the state of California. And if they mess that up, their job can be on the line for that. So it is very much, like you said, something that it starts out private, but then it becomes very public. And I think the only way that we ever get around that is we transition in the public eye until we really start to blend. And when we're ready, the best answer is take that child out of that school and put her in a new school where they didn't know her as a boy. And don't tell anybody, because it's nobody's business. And if they're blending and living their life as a woman, that no one ever needs to know that they used to be male. My dream is to have a new job where I can go and start that job and not have anybody there know that I used to be male, because I still get misgendered at least once a day. And my friends think that I'm quite blending as a woman, but I can never blend 100% in my place of employment because people knew me as a male and they liked me. I had a lot of friends. They still like me, but when they close their eyes, they see him.
Yes.
So she's standing in front of them.
Yes. And I hear all the things that you choose to do as a transgender woman to make it easier for the rest of people around you. And I want to invite these people, and especially people from outside of LGBTQ community, to open their minds and their hearts so they can accept that there are more than two genders out there. And the reality is we are moving away from a binary world. So it's time to get educated. And really, it's going back to the basics of respecting the other person pronouns. That's all you have to do, is to listen when they tell you what the pronouns are and respect that. It's just that simple.
People need to be more ready to listen to other people, yes, and to put themselves in other people's place. A lot of people naturally do. I'm a person, I try and always put myself in someone else's place to better understand their point of view. Not everybody is like that, though. A lot of people just kind of live in their own little box and don't really want to see what it's like for you. But hey, sometimes those people are the ones that need a little bit of a push by somebody who is visible, like, just out there to say, hey, you can't talk to me like that, or you can't call me that. I must insist that you use my correct pronouns. Now, once they dealt with somebody who puts them in check this way, and trust me, I know because I've had to do this, it changes the way they approach the next time. It might be a little embarrassing for them at first, but if the transgender person doesn't call them out on it, I found that in the beginning, I would let it slide a lot. I would be like, oh, well, it's okay. Oh, it's okay. But it wasn't okay, because at the end of the day, I counted how many times that happened. And every time it made me feel less of a woman.
Yes. So it's about standing up for yourself and owning your power and set clear boundaries.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you for that, Amber. Now, before we close for today, I just want to ask you, Amber, what will be that you'll advise a beginner performer that is also a transgender woman?
Okay, yes. I think that one thing that I have to say is that if you are a person out there who is seeking to be a drag entertainer, whether you be a drag king or a drag queen, I'm going to say this. What has worked well for me is doing what I love to do. I wear the clothes I love to wear. I perform the songs that I love. I don't do what's popular now because it's a big hit and I want to be on trend. I do what I feel inside. And I find that if you stay true to your inner feelings when it comes to performance, then you're always going to be better off. Do what already lives inside of you. Like, I love the classics. I love romantic love songs, and my lip syncs and the songs and characters that I do always go back to like old Hollywood and classic top 40 and songs that you hear and you know the words to, like the Sinead O'Connor song that got you the watch.
Yes.
Everybody knows that song. She's iconic for being a beautiful bald woman who had a hit song. And everybody knows that when you do something like that, that many people who know that are going to cling to you. And it's going to make you stand out apart from everybody else. Within my scene, most of the performers that I know pretty much all wear the same hair, the same makeup, and all dance to work, 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 work over and over. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they don't really get much more creative than that with it. And I think that being different is what makes you stand out. So be yourself and be true to yourself if you want to be a performer.
Yes, thank you for that, Amber. And I will expand that advice and invitation to whatever you want to be and whatever you want to do in life. Because as you say, when you do what already lives inside of you, then everything is coming from a place of originality and it's just effortless and it's authentic. It's taking us back to the beginning of this conversation when we talk about the personal, powerful energy that get people drawn into you.
Yes, that is exactly right.
I love it. This is a great way to close our today conversation. Thank you so much, Amber, for coming back, and thank you for your time and for everything that you share with us. And I'm really looking forward to talk to you again.
I've enjoyed all of it, and I'm so glad that we're going to keep in touch and contact me anytime.
Will do. Thank you, Amber.
You're very welcome. I can't wait to listen to this one too.
Thank you for tuning in to Redefine Family, a Spark Transformation podcast. We invite you to share your story, knowing that your story could change someone's life. Feel free to spread the love by sharing our message with others. We always like to hear from you at spark@redefinefamily.com. Always remember that you are the spark in your life. Just shine bright.